Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The preparations are in full swing for the new Ram Temple in Ayodhya. The mega consecration ceremony is planned by the Temple Trust and thousands of people from various fields have been invited for the event on Jan 22 next year. Now, several opposition parties and leaders have also been invited. For example, these include Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, even former President Sonia Gandhi, Congress's leader of opposition in Lok Sabha Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, former Prime Ministers Manmohan Singh and H.D. Deve Gowda. The invitation has also been sent to heads of various political parties. But Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray faction has claimed that Uddhav Thackeray has not been invited, at least not yet. And Shiv Sena's contribution towards the Ram Temple movement has been ignored by the current government. Meanwhile, the CPI has rejected the invite for the ceremony, claiming the event has been politicized by the ruling party and as per a Supreme Court ruling, the state should have no religious affiliation. Sitaram Yechury even claimed that this is almost like a state-sponsored event. Now, a senior member of the Temple Trust has confirmed to CNN News 18 that as expected, no funds of the government are being used for this event. The entire program is funded by the trust, which gets its money via donations. So, if at all there can be an objection, it is on the Prime Minister's presence itself. But is that a fair criticism? After all, Indian history post-independence too is dotted with Prime Ministers participating in various religious events. In fact, some religious events used to be organized by the Prime Ministers of the past and the Presidents of the past for particular communities. So, is it wrong for the current Prime Minister to be part of this event? The same questions, remember, were raised when the Prime Minister went to the foundation stone laying ceremony of the Ram Temple and more recently during the Sengol ceremony in Parliament. Is it a problem if the faith of the majority community is celebrated by the Indian government? Does it not celebrate other faiths? So why the problem with Hinduism alone, especially for the left parties? Was the Indian state ever meant to be anti-religion or irreligious? Or just equidistant from all religions, and have opposition parties themselves practice the same equidistance? So who is politicizing this event and to what end? We'll take that question to our guests in just a bit. But first, take a look at these statements that have been made by some of the opposition leaders. The prime objection really coming in from the left parties. CPI General Secretary Sitaram Yechury, as I said, has gone on to say that this is a state-sponsored event and the state should not profess any religious affiliation. CPIM's Brinda Karad also echoed his statement and justified them ignoring or rejecting the invite for the event. She says this is a politicization of a religious program, the fact that the Prime Minister is going to be attending. Now, ex-Congress leader and current Rajya Sabha MP Kapil Sibal has said that this whole issue is a show-off. This whole event is a show-off and BJP's behavior is actually not like Lord Ram. Meanwhile, Sena UBT's Sanjay Raut claims that those killing democracy, his target of course being the BJP in this case, have no right to inaugurate Mandir. Are these political statements or not? But nobody objected to former Prime Ministers and even Presidents of India hosting an iftar party, for example. So let me rewind some history pages here. Jawaharlal Nehru started hosting iftar parties when he was the Prime Minister and it became a tradition that was followed by multiple Prime Ministers till very recently. Lal Bahadur Shastri, in fact, had stopped the iftar party practice, but Indira Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru's daughter, when she came to power, she restarted the iftar parties, and even Rajiv Gandhi, her son, continued this practice when he became the Prime Minister of the country. Even Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who was the first BJP Prime Minister but headed a coalition government, continued iftar parties that were hosted by the Prime Minister, and they used to be singular events of its kind at that time. The tradition ended only when Narendra Modi was elected to power in 2014. Not only this, several leaders, when they were at the top post, visited temples, participated in pujas and did a whole host of religious ceremonies. So what is the objection to what the Prime Minister is doing today? In 1962, for example, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who was clearly against Hindu revivalism, as was mentioned by him at one point because of the reconstruction of Somnath Temple, he himself performed a puja at Pidambara Temple in Madhya Pradesh. In 1964, Lal Bahadur Shastri visited Tirumala Balaji Temple. Indira Gandhi visited many temples during her tenure as the Prime Minister. She, in fact, gifted a bell to Palakkad Temple after she came back to power in 1982. In 2012, Manmohan Singh began the new year with prayers at the Golden Temple. Till Pranab Mukherjee, I'm talking about the presidents now, the president's Christmas, Iftar, Diwali programs were an annual affair. So what's the problem now? President R. Prasad also attended, remember, the Somnath Temple re-inauguration ceremony. This is the one that Jawaharlal Nehru was opposed to. But the president of that time ignored that statement from Jawaharlal Nehru and did indeed visit. And he was the one to ask that the Indian state is not meant to be irreligious. We're supposed to honor all faiths, and there is no way he's going to keep away from this ceremony. So the question we asked today is this: in light of the left's objection of calling it a state-sponsored event or other parties, exactly who is politicizing what is the Ram Temple consecration event in January?
देश के अंदर सत्ता को, सरकार को, उसकी कोई एक धार्मिक ये एफिलिएशन नहीं होगी। तो ऐसी परिस्थिति में वो स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड होने की जगह उसकी राजनीतिकरण जो हो रही है इस पूरी की पूरी इनॉग्रेशन में।
पहुंचेंगे वही जिन्हें राम ने बुलाया है, तो इनको राम जी ने नहीं बुलाया। ऐसे लोगों को भगवान भी नहीं चाहते आए।
Hello, Moto.
Guess who? Let's go across to our guest joining us. Dr. Kaushal Kant Mishra is from the BJP. Vivek Srivastav is political analyst, leans towards the left parties. C.S. Jha is Shiv Sena leader, UBT. And Advaita Kala is author and political analyst. I thank you all for your time. Vivek, let me begin with you. I've just read out a few instances of religious events that used to be organized by not just governments, but heads of state, head of the Indian state, and even the president, who's the first citizen of the country. Right. What is the objection to the Prime Minister's presence at this event? And before you answer, let me tell you that there is no state money, no funding from the government as far as this event is concerned. I have confirmed that myself from the trust. All money is from the Ram Temple Trust, and they get their money via donations. So what is the objection really?
You see, it is not that we are saying that everybody should become irreligious, nobody should remain a Hindu, nobody should perform pujas, nobody should do meditation, Ram ka naam mat lo. That is not the narrative. What we are, and it was never the narrative for the last 70-75 years. Temples were being built regularly, ashrams were there, pujas were being conducted, festivals were being celebrated. So, I mean, nobody is anti-Hindu, pro-Muslim, and which is the narrative which, many media people are trying to spread out. That is not the narrative. The narrative is that the government, the Prime Minister, the President, they should not show that they are leaning towards one particular community, one particular religion, one particular faith, and show a bias towards it. Ayodhya has been a very controversial subject since 1947, and we all are aware of it. 1992, what happened? A mob goes and the Babri Masjid, which is now called the disputed structure, referred to it, it was broken, which is not the right way for any democracy to behave. Even if you have to remove the structure, you have gone through the court. There was a long little battle which was bitter. And finally, it is the court to which everybody agreed and respected, including the minorities and the Muslims. Now, when with a great fanfare, RSS says, we will go to 25 crore households with rice or something like that and do some akshat thing there, so that there is an involvement of everybody into it. We will have the Prime Minister going over there to inaugurate, which means that the Dharam Guru status has been in a way replaced by the position of the Honorable Prime Minister of India.
Just because he's going to a temple ceremony?
Thing to do.
Just because he's going to a temple ceremony? We've had Prime Ministers in the past who've also visited. I've just read out a lot of those instances.
Absolutely. We have no problem with the Honorable Prime Minister of India being a Ram Bhakt, doing a puja every day, doing Ram Naam every day, doing meditation every day. There is no problem in his personal life. You are the Prime Minister of the country, the Prime Minister of everyone. Please do not forget it. And something which has been bitter, something which has a bitter history behind it, something which has been so controversial, when you go over there and trying to show yourself, standing with it. I mean, he recently went to one of the rallies and he was saying something similar about Mathura, something similar about Kashi. This is not the way we should behave.
I would take your argument of this being a particularly bitter episode. Vivek, let me come in. I have two, follow-ups. I would take your argument about this being a bitter episode if this was only restricted to Ram Temple. Yes. Recently, what happened during the Sengol ceremony? Now, it was not party-driven. It was not, any bitter episode. It was only honoring the Sengol, which was always meant to be in Parliament. In fact, the first Prime Minister of the country, Jawaharlal Nehru, was involved in the Sengol ceremony at that time, and yet the opposition, including the left at that time, derided this ceremony as some sort of religiosity that should not be condoned by a secular Indian state. Second is your point about the Prime Minister visiting and keeping his faith to his house. My central point is exactly this. In the past, Prime Ministers, Presidents have hosted religious events. If there was no objection to iftar parties all of this while, or to a Christmas gathering, which the Prime Minister held just yesterday at his residence. What is the problem with the Prime Minister visiting a temple if he's invited? That's the central point. It almost seems like you don't want him to go to the Ram temple because you don't like what has happened in the Ram temple episode.
No, it's not that. It's firstly, it is about the person's personal faith, which every Prime Minister, every President has a right to follow, and we cannot stop it, and we should not stop it. We are not saying it. What we are saying is that what is the picture that you are trying to give?
What is
you
that
are trying to say that the government and the Honorable Prime Minister represents one particular community and is going to sponsor it out, and he stands for it.
Okay, let me take that to the BJP's representative. Let me take that to the BJP's representative, that the message that goes out is that the Prime Minister stands for the Hindu faith and the Hindu faith alone. Mr. Mishra.
Shivani, if you go on yesterday's Prime Minister is hosting the Christian ceremony on 25th.
Yes.
What it means? Is it a non-secular? And above all, I have the copy of the old real constitution in which we have seen there are Ram temple, there is Hanuman. So what he want to say? He want that whole constitution is Ram constitution, and it is very proud for us that whole constitution contains everything what is the history of the whole nation.
Even Parliament have shlokas from Hindu texts.
We believe, Shivani, even constitution maker Gandhi ji or Jawaharlal ji, both are agreeing that our constitution is like Ram Niti, Ram Raj ke liye. What was the made? The constitution was made to achieve the Ram Raj. How they will achieve? By this constitution, in which we have seen multiple figures of the Shivaji's figure is there, Buddha's figure is there, Hanumanji figure is there, Ram Darbar is there, Mahabharat picture is there. It means we proudly say
it's Indian history.
This constitution is a
secular,
it's a Hindu constitution, so it is a secular constitution. Shivani, it is a Hindu constitution, so it is a secular constitution. And we proudly believe that Ram Niti is Rajniti, and Rajniti, we do Rajniti for Rashtra-niti. Okay. And Ram Raj, we want to bring, our constitution want to bring the Ram Raj by the sense of this constitution. So Vivek Srivastav, who doesn't believe in God, because his ideology is left ideology, he doesn't believe in God, so how he can say about anything?
No, he is saying that the Prime Minister of the country should be seen. As I said at the start of the show, Indian state was meant to be equidistant from all faiths. But can a divorce of Indian civilization from an independent Indian state after 1947 happen to such an extent that, we just don't refer to anything that is Indic or Indian history? I don't think that is possible, even in a secular state. Also, in a secular state, I don't think in the past, even before Narendra Modi, there has been such a divorce of religious activities and those who are in either the Prime Minister's post or the President's post. That's my fundamental question. If no money of the government, Advaita, I'm coming to you, if no money of the government has been used for this event. In fact, the entire construction of the Ram temple has been funded by devotees. This is a unique example of its kind anywhere in the world. Even the French government is reconstructing the Notre Dame, which unfortunately faced that fire. French is supposed to be the most secular of all states. It is doing so because Notre Dame is an iconic structure. It's not just about Christianity. So here the Ram temple is being built solely on devotees' funds. The Prime Minister is visiting, not spending a money from the governments. And in India, we've had governments spend money on religious activities. So what is the problem today, Advaita?
The problem today is that the RamMandir is actually being built. That's the problem. But no one will come out and say it because they don't want to come across as, being opposed to something that is a faith accompli, which is the RamMandir. And I don't think that we need to justify or be apologetic about any of these things. The fact of the matter is that this was a very long standing demand of the Hindu community. There has been archaeological evidence to prove that a mandir did stand on that location. All those debates have been settled. And now a Bhavya Ram Mandir is being constructed. And it's a matter of joy and celebration for a lot of Indians who happen to be Hindus. And I would say even those who are not Hindus, who want us to move forward and make peace with what has happened in the past, as well as build an India that is comfortable in its identity. And that is what is happening with the Ram Mandir today.
Is it against India's secular principles for the Prime Minister to attend this event?
Not at all. Why should it be against any principles? I mean, why are temple trusts, for example, controlled by the government? The Hindu temples. Why? Is that secular? When every other religious body has control over their own trusts? So let's not get into this kind of nitpicking. The Prime Minister is a Hindu. That's fine. Dr. Manmohan Singh was a Sikh. He went on the 1st of January to the Golden Temple. That's also fine. In America, they have Easter egg rolls and Christmas parties at the White House. That's also okay. It's fine to be Hindu. That's the moot point. And it's okay if your Prime Minister is one. No problem.
CS Jha is from the Shiv Sena UBT faction, and you've objected to the fact that while a lot of opposition leaders are getting these invites, the left parties are rejecting this invite. You're upset with the government because so far, as your party has said, Uddhav Thackeray, who heads this faction of the Shiv Sena, hasn't even got the invite. So do you believe the government is deliberately doing this? The trust is deliberately doing this because the trust says that they've invited heads of all political parties in India.
See, let me tell you first that the agenda of Ayodhya was firstly raised by Balasaheb Thackeray. Now today, if BJP says they are going to hijack this, that is completely a wrong version of the BJP. And if you see today what is happening, that the Ram Mandir is being politicized. Why Ram Mandir or Ayodhya has to be politicized?
Politicized how? Mr. Jha, could you break this down for me? You mean politicized because the PM is going, or any other reason as well?
See, the first invitee was Mr. Narendra Damodas Modi, and no invite was given to any other leader except Mr. Modi after raising certain objections by other opposition members and the parties. Then the invitees have been brought out by Ayodhya Trust to other opposition members. And now if you see that this was basically a political story being run by BJP, today also they are saying on this program itself that this brings the Hindu religion and all those pictures are coming out, that it is being politicized. And the politics on Ram Mandir is very bad in nature for the country.
But sir, I don't understand one thing. I'll ask Mr. Mishra to respond to this, but I don't understand one thing. On one hand, you're saying we should have been invited, we contributed so greatly to the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. On the other side, you're saying the temple construction or inauguration is being politicized. It can't be both, na? If you want your political contribution to be recognized, you want to be there. One second, Vivek ji, one second, I'll come back to you. Let Mr. Jha respond. If you want your political contribution to be recognized, it was at one end a political movement. There was a political base set up for it by parties like yourself and leaders from your party, plus the BJP. On another hand, you're saying because the PM is going, then it's being politicized. Then it's just about who's in power today. It's not really about the principle.
Let me tell you first that Balasaheb Thackeray did not politicize this movement. because we belong to a Hindutva nature party. And in India, in totality, if you see that we are only having an objective in Shiv Sena, that we are Hindutva party. BJP is not a Hindutva party. If you see their object also, they are not a Hindutva party. So it was construed as a movement for Hindutva, not as a political theory or political practice. And if you see today what BJP is doing, they are trying to say that we had an objective in our election. That is why
But
we
sir,
are
they've
building
had it in their
Ayodhya.
manifesto for many decades. How can you ignore that? They have made it a
Was in their
political mission.
manifesto. So if you say today also that if it was in the manifesto and it was for the election purpose, how can you say or anybody say that it was not politics? And today it is also politics.
Okay, so you're
So,
saying just
in-
having
in
something
any
like
manner
this in
it
the
is been
manifesto
influenced
makes
for
it only
politics.
about elections. I don't know if that works because you will promise things to the public, issues that you believe are important to them, and just because you add them in a manifesto doesn't mean it's only for elections. Obviously, it is to tell the
Yes.
public what they're likely to do when they come to power. But Dr. Kaushal, can you please respond to this? One charge that the BJP faces, not just from, let's say, a political opponent today, like the Shiv Sena UBT, it's from others as well, that somehow the BJP has made this new Ram temple all about itself. It's not like the BJP was the only one that played a role. And this judgment also came from the Supreme Court, but you almost act like you have delivered this Ram temple.
Shivani, we proudly say that it was on our manifesto, and not only the Ram temple, we delivered Ram temple, we delivered Article 370, we delivered triple talaq. So whatever was on our manifesto, we are trying to deliver it, and that is why we are celebrating it, that we delivered it. And it's not only we, whole country was working for Ram temple, and whole country is celebrating Diwali again this year. And the best thing is that, Shivani, you see all those who always have confusion about Ram temple, who doesn't have faith in Ram, who says Ram is hypothetical, who was against the Ram Setu, they all are now trying to become the Ram Bhakta in one day. That is the best thing. This is what is their politics. If they are against the Ram temple in last 20-30 years, then why they are celebrating, trying to come and celebrate the Ram temple?
Not the Shiv Sena. You can't say the current Shiv Sena that has
Shiv Sena.
split. They have not been against the Ram temple. Surely they deserve an invite.
Shivani, the Shiv Sena
speaks,
who
he
is
does
led
not
by
know that.
Bala Saheb Thackeray, that is already part of the BJP. It is the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena who is in support of Indi Gathbandhan, who is against the Sanatan Dharma, who is against who is dividing the Hindu and Hindutva, who is against the everything, who is against everything.
On the
So
national
why they
television
are
about who is
this
speaking
Shiv
on
Sena is
Hindutva.
not
You
Bala
people
Saheb
don't-
Thackeray Shiv
you
Sena.
people
Bala
deserve a
Saheb
clap on
Thackeray Shiv
Hindutva.
Sena is
If you
with
say
us
that
only.
we are not Hindutva,
It's
not
Uddhav
Mr.
Thackeray Shiv
Mr.
Sena.
Jha is responding
And they
to
have
you.
to
Mr.
prove
Kaushal,
their
just
loyalty.
listen to what Mr. Jha is saying. Yes, Mr. Jha.
See, today Mr. Kausar is speaking about Hindutva. Where was his Hindutva when this Ram temple was not being built for last 2 decades? Where were they? And what contribution has BJP towards this Ram temple? The persons who were involved in this total incidents and in Ayodhya are not been brought in this picture, and today they are not an invitee also. Mr. L.K. Advani, Mr. Mulli Manohar Joshi, these things are showing that they don't want this to be in the nature of Hindutva, or they are not doing so. And what is happening today? They
Mr.
are
Jha, how do you know
politicizing
they are not
for the
got
purpose of
invited?
fighting election in
Mr. Jha, how
2024,
do you know that they are not
taking
invited?
advantage for it.
How do you know
And-
that they are not
and-
invited?
and not
Everybody
only
who is
Mr.
lucky,
Uddhav Thackeray,
to whom
none
the
of
God
the
wants,
Kar Sevaks,
they are there.
None of the Kar Sevaks, none of the Kar Sevaks have been
Mr.
invited.
Jha,
What are you speaking on national
Mr.
television?
Jha.
Tell us.
Okay,
that-
let him respond now.
Tell us
At
that
the
you
time-
Mr.
are
Jha, let him
not
respond.
delivering
You've
the
asked your
Kar
questions. Let him
Sevaks.
respond.
Mr. Jha, at the time of demolition, I was there in Ayodhya. I was there. I personally was there. Don't say.
No,
Right now I am a
demolition has been done
spokesperson.
by
At that
whom?
time I was
You people
RSS
were
worker.
involved.
So I was there.
What happened
What
there?
are you talking
What happened
about?
there?
I am now BJP member. and I was at that time I was that time at the RSS
These
worker. I was car
who
saver.
lost their
So I was there.
You
So
people
whole
are
country
playing
was
with the
there.
car
It's not
savers'
about
life.
BJP.
You
It's not
people
about
are playing
RSS.
with the
It's
Hindu
not about
glory.
Shiv Sena.
You
Okay,
people
let me
are
just
playing
come in.
all
Let me
the
just
Ram
come in.
Bhakta
I think
there.
it's safe
And
to
those
say.
who are there, they got invited.
Once again, I think it is safe to say that no credit of any political party that, you know, demonstrated, organized and politically set a base for the Ram temple should be denied that credit. Whether that's the Shiv Sena, UBT as it stands today, yes, it has suffered a split, but yes, Uddhav Thackeray is the head of the other party, or it's the BJP, no party can be denied because these were the only parties that openly demanded a Ram temple along with organizations like the RSS, VHP and others. And yes, today it may be fashionable, at that time it wasn't so fashionable, so they did struggle for it. And I don't think anybody's credit should be taken away regardless of the new political fault lines. But my larger question was only this.
Shivani, just one.
Yes.
Shivani, just one line.
Yes.
Shivani, just one line. BJP has lost its 4-state government. Does any opposition party has delivered anything about Ram Temple? We lost 4-state government. That's what else you want? How the BJP will say that BJP is for the Ram temple? We are the only political party who lost our 4-state government.
No, so that's what I'm saying. I don't think, once again, I don't think we should go down. No, I don't think it is fair to say that BJP did not work for it. The BJP did work for it. It was one of the only, you know, mainstream political parties of the day that did work for it. I don't think there's any point in, you know, denying what is history. But the larger point is this, that is the Ram temple construction, as Advaita said, Vivek, just making some people uncomfortable? After all, it was left-leaning historians for decades who even denied the fact that there was a Ram temple that existed below the Babri structure. And today, you can't really say anything else, but you're just not wanting to be part of this event.
No, absolutely not. See, we are a complex country, we are a diverse country, and in our school textbooks, we had read that unity in diversity is the idea of India. And this is the India that we believed in. Narendra Modi's India is different. Divisions on religious lines, divisions on caste lines, that is their idea of India.
No, you are broad-basing the issue. I'm not asking you about all of that. Fundamentally, why are you objecting to the Prime Minister going when PMs and presidents have been associated? In fact, if the objection was... No, please don't speak over each other one by one.
Who's dividing on the caste?
Vivek, I'm coming to you only. If the objection was that state money is being used, there are also examples of non-BJP central governments funding religious activities, particularly of minorities. So even that objection doesn't stand, but there is no state money being used here.
Listen to me.
It's purely an opposition for the sake of opposition.
It is, I'll tell you what, 1925 the RSS was born, and 1925 the Communist Party of India also came into existence, and there were different ideologies, the right and the left. We believe that fascism is not what should be encouraged in the country, which stands for one religion.
Don't drop fascism. Now you come to
one language, one people.
You will drop Hitler's name also next.
Let me speak. Don't speak. Don't speak.
This is not a debate about fascism.
That is from where they... Do you know that the RSS people went and met Mussolini? Are you aware of it? Are you aware of it sitting over here as an anchor?
How is
the origin of the black
yes,
that
I'm also aware of the church's contribution to Hitler and others. That's not the point. How have you gone from the Ram temple events to Hitler and RSS birth?
They've already been debunked on Ram temple, now they're perpetuating.
Give me 20 seconds. Please give me 20 seconds.
Yes, Vivek, I'll give you 30 seconds.
I need 20 seconds. Thank you. Let me speak.
Advaita, I'm coming to you next. Let him have his 30 seconds.
Of a Hindu Rashtra. The RSS has an agenda of a Hindu Rashtra, and the BJP is the mouthpiece. One people, one religion. They are not very happy with the socialist secular constitution. It's that fight. 25 crore households are being approached by the RSS as per the social media report.
So what's wrong with that?
In the name of the Ram temple. This is an election ploy.
Okay, now you're saying it's an election ploy. Okay, I get it.
Selective people have not been invited. Selective parties have also been insulted.
No, you've shifted the goalpost.
Deliberately.
Vivek, you've shifted the goalpost.
It is about 2024.
Okay,
No, both
okay,
of-
I take
mean,
that.
the
I
goalpost
take
has
that
been,
objection.
can have many
I'll
players.
have the BJP representative respond to that. He did respond to a question similar to that. But you've shifted your goalposts, Advaita. Sitayam Rechuri and Brinda Karat are not
Both of them are
opposing
there.
this as 2024 ploy or the fact that RSS is approaching 25 crore households. There's nothing wrong with that. RSS is a social organization. Their objection was that this is a state-sponsored event.
Anyone who divides the society on basis of religion.
No,
is
that's
wrong.
your
Anyone who
political
divides the
objection.
country on
That
basis
is
of
not
religion
an
is wrong.
objection to the Prime Minister visiting this temple ceremony.
wrong.
That's your political ideology.
RSS is the
Let
largest.
Advaita come in. Let Advaita come in. One by one.
RSS is the
Vivek, you had
largest
your turn.
voluntary organization.
Vivek, you had your turn. Advaita.
Okay.
RSS is the largest voluntary organization in the world. Nowhere has it disguised its support for the Ram Mandir. There is no deception here. It has always been on the front foot. It is always, even when there was no political power or even access to high level politics, RSS maintained what it has maintained. The VHP maintained what it has maintained, whether there was political power or there was no political power. So I think that consistency cannot be doubted or faulted. And if there is joy at the construction of the Ram Mandir after the many decades, I mean, this was a dispute that preceded 1947. I'm
Yes.
working on a book on this. So I have the dates down pat. I can tell you the years and the pages on which the BJP mentioned the Ram Mandir on their manifesto. They supported the VP Singh government the first time they had access to power in the center, and they lost that power because of the Rath Yatra. So they took many, many decisions wherein they faced adverse political conditions
Right.
and responses because of their support for the Ram Mandir. So if we have reached this point, and if we do not acknowledge the price that the BJP has also paid, whether you like them ideologically or not, to get to this point, then that will be dishonesty.
So
And
you're
certainly
saying that the opposition is
also.
begrudging the fact that the Ram Temple is a reality and the BJP
Absolutely.
can indeed take credit for it. I mean, all political
the Prime
parties work for
Minister
credit
himself.
and for,
The Prime Minister
changing the minds of
himself.
the electorate. So would it be
Shivani,
wrong for the BJP to take any electoral benefits out of this Ram Temple construction if that is the objection?
No, they've taken, they had electoral losses because of this for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
It's only now because it's fashionable to say, oh, Ram Mandir and this and that. But Prime Minister, he was the Satyuki of the LK Advani's chariot from Somnath, the first leg of the Rath Yatra.
Right.
So he went in 1993 to Ayodhya and said, I will not return here till there is a Ram Mandir. That is a pledge
But
Prime
today he
Minister
is the
Modi
Honorable
took
Prime Minister.
before he was CM, before he was PM.
Today he is
So
no
now
longer the
if he's
charioteer, he
going,
is the Prime Minister,
if
and he
he's
should
going,
honor that
he
position.
went there.
All history,
No,
all
he
history
has
is to
had
be
a
written
long
in favor of
association with
BJP.
the Ram Mandir
Why
issue.
you don't say
There is
what
no
are the
doubt about
contributions
it.
of other
There is
parties
no
and how
doubt
they have
about it.
managed it?
Okay,
And he was-
okay.
Yeah, he has had a very long association with Ram Mandir.
There are only two questions. Is it wrong for the Prime Minister to be partaking in this event? And is it wrong for the BJP to even go to the electorate and say, look, this is what we fought for 40 years, it's becoming a reality? The debate hinges on those two questions. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Something tells me we'll be debating this a lot more ahead of Jan 22 and beyond.